This is CBC Nova Scotia News.
Homes damaged. The growing Long Lake wildfire ravages some houses in its path. Eastlink unhappy. The Nova Scotia-based internet provider cries foul over federal regulations. And hockey hero. Nova Scotia's May Batherson inspires a new generation of players.
The much-needed wet weather continues tonight, but we're clearing as we move through Tuesday. Your full forecast is coming up.
Good evening. Homes have now been lost to a quickly advancing wildfire in Annapolis County. Extreme conditions have caused the Long Lake wildfire to more than double in size over the weekend. The fire is now estimated to be nearly 8,000 hectares and remains out of control. The Department of Natural Resources says strong winds and hot temperatures cultivated the perfect storm for strong wildfire behavior, which led to the fire advancing and burning several homes in the West Dalhousie area. The province says the exact number of homes that have been lost or damaged is yet to be confirmed.
This is a crushing feeling. We really can't imagine what it must feel like. And also with the added anxiety of not knowing what's happening to your home, it's an awful time. Out of respect for those families, they are being notified first before we confirm any numbers.
Despite best efforts, a week of planning and everything we could do, that fire responded as we thought it would to the weather. The weather conditions were not good for us. It responded pretty much as we thought it would, and that fire stood up and ran away.
With extreme fire conditions persisting over the next few days, DNR says the fire could continue to grow and more evacuations may be necessary. Meanwhile, the province is launching a new emergency financial support program to help those displaced by the fire. About 330 homes and well over 1,000 people are now included in the expanded evacuation order around the wildfire. The CBC's Preston Mulligan joins us live just outside the evacuation zone with the latest on those efforts. Preston.
Yeah, good evening, Amy. We're standing here in Middleton, just in the parking lot of the Nova Scotia Community College, where there's been basic cots and other essentials set up for the 1,000 or so evacuees who have been evacuated. Now, if there's any good news to be told here today, it's that it's been raining most of the afternoon here in this part of the Annapolis Valley. Not a heavy rain and not enough rain likely to put this fire out or even bring it under control, but it certainly doesn't hurt, and any amount is welcome for those in the woods right now fighting the fire. So as I said, some of the evacuees are coming here to the Nova Scotia Community College in Middleton. There are cots set up inside. Red Cross is asking evacuees to register with them. Even if they found another place to stay, to please come by here and register and share your number and your personal information. I'd say maybe only a handful of people are really taking advantage of these accommodations, and some of the people I saw indoors very briefly, you can see some of the anxiety that they have, wondering whether they will be contacted or how their house is doing and when will they find out any bit of information. I spoke with one gentleman and his wife earlier today, Tim Donald, and his wife and stepson. They were here earlier. They got the order late last night to evacuate their home in New Albany, just east of where this fire is burning, just a kilometer, maybe 4 or 5 kilometers. They had a couple of horses, they had some poultry that they had to get removed, and they posted a note on Facebook. Within minutes, there were people at their door with trucks hauling away their livestock, so they're very grateful for that, but they're no doubt anxious about what they might yet lose.
I'd hate to lose all our belongings. Our house, our garage, our barn, all our equipment, stuff we've worked so hard to have, it's close to being gone.
So that is Tim Donald, and spent the night, he and his family, in their half-ton truck. So they're wondering tonight where they're going to sleep. Of course, there are accommodations here if that's required. And as you said, Amy, they haven't released yet an exact number of homes that have been damaged or destroyed. But there is compensation on the table, some provincial money, up to $3,000 per adult individual, depending on how long they may need to use these kinds of accommodations. I was chatting with Chris D'Entremont, the MP for this area, the Conservative MP, and he said that, the province will look after arranging whatever emergency disaster funding is available, but there is also some federal money on the table as well, but he cautions that not everyone might be eligible for that.
What we're concerned of at this point is that there's a number of issues that you might not qualify. If you don't have insurance on your home, or you chose not to have insurance on your home, that might not qualify you for the disaster assistance even.
So if you have no insurance, you don't qualify for federal assistance.
That's what we found in the Barrington fire, is that a number of people didn't have certain products in their homes. If they weren't insured, disaster assistance wouldn't necessarily cover them.
And so Amy, finally, what we need is 3 or 4 days of heavier rain to really get us back in the safe zone. Amy.
All right, yeah, some tense days there, Preston. Thank you, Preston. That is Preston Mulligan reporting live for us this evening. And Ryan joins us for the latest on the weather. So some rain today, but is there any in the future?
Yeah, I mean, the short answer is no, Amy. Today and into tonight is really the best shot we've got in terms of picking up some rain until the weekend, and it's just not enough. And as we look at the radar, it looks good, right? We can see these darker greens, the yellows, the oranges. We have picked up, as of 6 o'clock, around 10 to 15 millimeters here in and around the Halifax area, 2 to 5 millimeters here out towards the valley, but it's just not enough. And as we look at the outlook in terms of what has fallen already this afternoon and what will still fall through this evening into the overnight into Tuesday morning, it is indeed that Atlantic coastline where we're seeing some pockets that could push up towards 20 to 30 millimeters up into Cape Breton as well. That Long Lake fire kind of on the border here, which will likely be around 5 to 10 millimeters. So just not enough. As this system pulls away, we'll see a couple of isolated showers again Tuesday afternoon. And then looking ahead towards the weekend, we'll talk about that with your 7-day coming up. Amy?
All right, thanks very much for that.
Thank you.
A 60-year-old man from Ontario is dead after an accidental drowning at Melmerby Beach late Friday afternoon. RCMP say paramedics and fire services responded to the provincial park in New Glasgow around 4:30. Lifeguards at the park also had to help a couple of other people out of the water at the same time. No other details have been released. A Nova Scotia-based internet company says the current regulatory system is unfair and making it difficult to compete. The head of Eastlink is now looking at whether it should shut down some of its money-losing operations in small rural markets. Blair Rhodes reports.
Eastlink says that in an effort to make internet services more competitive, the CRTC policy has had the opposite effect. Vice Chair Lee Bragg is upset by a rule that requires him to offer access to Eastlink's network at a discount. The policy was meant to help small upstart companies like Purple Cow and Citywide, which operate in the Halifax area. But Bragg says one of the country's big players, TELUS, is using the discount rate. And Bragg says Eastlink can't compete with that. It's prompted him to launch a review of the company's unprofitable operations.
We're in the process of evaluating that, but it will be, a significant number of rural communities across the country because, we not only just service Atlantic Canada, we're in rural Ontario and rural Alberta and rural BC, so it's, we're not happy about it, but we're kind of left with no choice.
A leading consumer advocate says Bragg has a point. Jeff White of the Public Interest Advocacy Centre says the federal government is sending mixed messages.
It's my job to look out for consumers and the broader public interest, and the data to date doesn't give me hope that we're heading in the right direction based on complaint volumes increasing to the ombuds. And based on some pricing data.
Lee Bragg is hoping the federal government can be persuaded to get involved, something it has so far refused to do.
This is what parliamentary reviews are for, is to take a longer-term look and say, here there is an error here. This could be detrimental to Canadians in the long run. We do need to step in and address this.
TELUS is defending its actions with a petition, which company president Darren Entwistle says sends a clear message. The resounding voices of 400,000 Canadians, a number that is increasing by the day, cannot be ignored. Their clear desire for increased internet choice underscores the importance of offering customers a diversity of services and providers. Eastlink's review of its services should be complete in a couple of weeks. Consumer advocate Jeff White says this issue isn't going away anytime soon and will likely lead to more court action. Blair Rhodes, CBC News, Halifax.
Halifax-based landlord Killam Apartment REIT has released its latest financial results. The company is expecting more new tenants to move into their properties. And as the CBC's Andrew Lamb reports, that could help Killam balance out slower rent growth in the region.
Amid signs of a slowing rental market, Halifax-based landlord Killam Apartment REIT is expecting more apartments to turn over to new tenants this year. The publicly traded company's CEO told analysts this could help offset slower rent growth in Atlantic Canada.
A lot of the turnover will be units where we do have a good, healthy mark-to-market.
Mark-to-market, that's financial speak for how much higher on average market rents are estimated to be compared to Killam's. In Halifax, for example, that number is 22%, which means Killam still has room to raise rents when new tenants move in. Like other landlords, the company can get larger rent increases on turnover. That's because Nova Scotia's rent cap only applies to lease renewals. Killam expects about 1/5 of its apartments across Canada to turn over this year.
People have choice today where they didn't have a year ago, 2 years ago. People can move and find a place to live.
During the company's earnings call earlier in August, Killam's chief financial officer said the company is seeing 40 to 50% rent growth when it renovates existing units and puts them back on the market. The target is to do that for a small fraction of Killam's apartments this year.
These are all in turn to try to attract more affluent or higher income renter households to their properties.
Lewis says apartment renovations are a common financial strategy for large institutional landlords like private equity firms and public pension funds.
These particular landlords utilize these strategies is by way of finding undervalued properties. These are typically in low income or communities that are on the verge of being gentrified.
Killam has said it's a provider of affordable housing and that renovations are not a big part of its business. In its latest financial report, the company says its average rent is far below what newer units on the market are expected to charge. Andrew Lamb, CBC News, Halifax.
Nova Scotia's May Batherson celebrated her recent Professional Women's Hockey League championship in the Halifax area this weekend. The Minnesota Frost defenseman signed autographs and took pictures with a long line of fans, many of them young girls, excited they now have a league of role models to look up to. The CBC's Josh Hoffman was there.
Young female hockey players in Nova Scotia have a new idol, and her name is May Batherson. Batherson brought the PWHL's Walter Cup to the RBC Centre in Dartmouth on Saturday after her Minnesota Frost won their second consecutive championship in May.
It's pretty cool. We're really inspired of how she was doing, and she won the Walter Cup again this year. And it's only the second year of the PWHL, and it just really inspires us.
It's only been 2 seasons, but the Women's League has given young girls in Nova Scotia and across North America the opportunity to see hockey players who look like them on a big stage.
I like how it's for girls, and because there's not as many teams for girls.
I'm super happy for that because I know that a long time ago women weren't really allowed to do anything, and now women are rising up, so I'm really happy about that.
Some of the young players at the arena Saturday had already met Batherson at a hockey camp earlier this summer, an experience they won't forget anytime soon.
She was on the ice with us, and it was just super cool because we got to actually meet her and kind of talk to her and bond with her. We learned to keep on working hard and to always work on stuff.
Batherson says it's an honor to be one of many PWHL role models and to show young female hockey players with hard work and determination there is a place for them in the sport too.
I mean, it's not something that I had growing up. I dreamed of playing in the NHL, and obviously that was not realistic, and now to have girls that they can actually have a realistic dream and watch us on TSN and come meet us and see the Cup live here in Nova Scotia. It's pretty awesome.
Batherson says with the PWHL expanding from 6 to 8 teams this upcoming season, it's an exciting time for women's hockey and believes it's only going to get better. Josh Hoffman, CBC News, Dartmouth.
Yes, a bit of very welcome rain in Halifax today. Ryan's up next with a full weather forecast. We'll see you in just a few minutes.
This weather update is brought to you by Access Wellness Nova Scotia. Book your appointment today for free, confidential mental wellness support.
Yeah, popped up briefly at lunch, and it was so nice to see the rain.
Yeah.
I think everybody had that same feeling. It was not enough, but it's something.
It's something. It's better than nothing, and better than a hot, dry day, of course, and a windy day, of course, which we experienced Friday into Saturday, and we all know what happened there, and even into Sunday. So, yeah, better today. And have a look at this picture. We're going to start with a dramatic pic.
Sure is.
of course, we all know those directly influenced by the fires being forced to evacuate. But of course, so many downwind of the fires with the air quality that has been so poor through the valley, especially. Bill Curry with this very dramatic pic from Middleton, Nova Scotia. And as we talk about what the wind is going to do over the next couple of days and the air quality statements that are in effect right now for southeast New Brunswick, and of course the air quality warning for Annapolis County, I'm expecting that that's going to change. And as we look at the wildfire smoke outlook, there's the outlook for Monday afternoon. You can see with that southerly flow pushing up into southeast New Brunswick, that's where the most direct smoke was blowing in those winds from the south. But note as we move into tonight and tomorrow, the wind is going to shift to a bit more of a northwesterly direction overnight into early Tuesday. So that may push some of that smoke down towards the South Shore region early in the morning. And then into the afternoon, I'm expecting that westerly wind to take over. And so that will likely push that smoke across Hants County, northern Halifax County towards the Truro region, Cobequid Bay, and then out at Northumberland Shore and into Cape Breton. And that does likely look to be the case into Wednesday as well, with that westerly flow pushing that smoke eastward. So a heads up for you folks that you may be included in that air quality statement as we move into the next couple of days here. So temperatures out there right now into the high teens, and of course that wet weather much needed that's tracking through. Looks like, as I said earlier, that along that Atlantic coastline is indeed where we're going to see that largest shot of rain, that best chance of exceeding 20 millimeters. The valley back towards where that Long Lake fire is, it looks like we're going to be closer to 5, maybe 10 millimeters, unfortunately. You can see the low pressure system moving out to the east, and we've got this area of high pressure that's going to swing in and calm things down, but keeping the temperatures cool. We're not going to get back up into the high 20s, thankfully. You can see that heat really surging up and through Alberta and Saskatchewan right now. And so the silver lining here is that we're not really heating up over the next couple of days. As we look at the temperatures for tonight, most of us are going to be in the 18, 19 range as those winds will go from southeast to a northwest wind here for you folks in the west by the time we get to tomorrow morning. Some lingering showers for you folks in Cape Breton early Tuesday. Everyone else, it's kind of a cloudy, foggy start to the day. We'll see some isolated showers possible for tomorrow afternoon, primarily in the west. And then into the east, those will kind of fizzle as they work their way towards the east, but there is at least the chance of an isolated shower for tomorrow. Won't amount to a whole lot, but the possibility is there. Our winds from the southeast and southwest, gusting to 30 to 40 kilometers per hour. The best chance for a shower in Cape Breton will be in the early morning hours, and then moving out, becoming a mix of sun and cloud, and a very slight risk into the afternoon here for a pop-up shower. Temperatures into the low to mid-20s. Similar story for the central parts of the province. We'll see, I think, pretty much a cloudy, foggy start to the day, and then a mix of sun and cloud and a very slight risk for a shower into the afternoon. And the better chance for that isolated shower will be for the west. Onshore winds, temperatures in the teens in those onshore winds for the Tri-County area. Boy, it'd be nice to tap into the moisture from this. A system that's moving offshore, that's going to miss us, swing and a miss. So Wednesday does look like it's going to be another low 20s day, pushing up towards 24 degrees perhaps for a few spots. And then as we move into the Thursday time period, more dry weather. Going to be a fine day. We've got this frontal boundary approaching from the west. That will increase our clouds, it appears, but keep us dry on Friday, and will bring us a chance for some showers on Saturday. There is some uncertainty as to the setup of that Saturday low and how it will work through, and whether it could maybe draw some more moisture up from the south. We'll keep you posted on that. But at this point, what we're seeing right now is our best chance of some substantial showers, at least over the next handful of days, Amy.
Okay, fingers crossed for that. Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
It has been a hot, dry summer across Canada, and it will take more than just one big rainstorm to recover from this drought. CBC meteorologist Tina Simkin explains what's needed for the drought to finally end.
With all the hot and dry weather we've been having this summer, many are wondering, what will it take to finally end this drought? There's no universal time frame that determines a drought. It's identified by the adverse effect on vegetation, wildlife, and people. 2 weeks without rain or snow in midwinter may have little impact, but during the height of summer, when we're experiencing weeks of hot, dry, sunny weather with no rain, the effect is immediate and visible. Look around. We can see clear signs of the drought. Premature leaf drop from trees, grass, and shrubs turning brown, shrinking lake levels, and the increased risk of forest fires. Breaking this drought requires rainfall, but a single downpour isn't enough. When the ground is dry, uncovered, it becomes hydrophobic, meaning water is absorbed slowly. Heavy rainfall in these conditions can lead to erosion and higher risk of flooding. Recovery depends on steady, consistent rainfall to replenish soil moisture, refill lakes and rivers, and to restore the groundwater levels. Droughts aren't unusual in Nova Scotia. In the last 10 years, we've had 2 noteworthy summer droughts. In 2016, over large parts of Yarmouth and surrounding counties, and then again in 2023, which led to the wildfires in Hammonds Plains and western Nova Scotia. While we can't control the weather, we can take steps to reduce drought impacts and make our communities more resilient. Consider replacing high-maintenance lawns, which requires frequent watering, fertilizers, and pesticides. Instead, choose natural grasses and native plants, which are more tolerant of extreme conditions. Rainwater harvesting is another practical step. Installing rain barrels during wet periods allows you to store water to keep your plants healthy through a dry spell. As our climate continues to change, embracing sustainable practices not only conserves water, but it also reduces the strain on municipal systems, improves ecosystem health, and it helps to ensure that we are better prepared for the next dry period. This is not our first drought, and it won't be our last.
Coming up, officials in Annapolis County say they're still working to determine how many homes have been lost in the Long Lake wildfire. The Long Lake wildfire in the Annapolis Valley has destroyed a number of homes, and more residents have been ordered to evacuate as the blaze continues to burn out of control. I'm joined now by Dustin Enslow, Deputy Warden of the municipality of the County of Annapolis. First off, what can you tell us about the homes that have been damaged by that fire?
So as of right now, it's an ongoing information gathering right now. So of course we can't share a huge amount of information because we're really focusing on the sensitivity around it. And until we reach out to all the community members that are affected, we're really not sharing much detail.
Any idea how the homeowners who have been notified are doing, and what is the mood in general like in the community?
Of course, it's to be expected that the mood starting yesterday actually, went down. It dropped. I know just from our perspective in the command post that, you have the feelings of anxiety for the people. We have, the feeling of loss and because we had a really good battle rhythm, and the Department of Natural Resources were working extremely hard to save houses and to keep this fire contained to the best of their ability, but Hurricane Aaron didn't feel that was going to happen. So I know the community members that I've spoke to so far, of course, are devastated. We've been actively working throughout the morning to gather more information to ensure that the people that are affected by damaged properties are being contacted and provided good information. We are the ones that are the ones responsible to reach out and personally talk to the individuals that have had damages or lost to their properties. It's not a good time. Our heart goes out to everyone that has lost or damaged properties, and we'll continue to support them to the best of our ability. But we just want to continue to be there for them and provide the services that they need to move forward.
Now, the evacuation order has been expanded. How has that been going?
Actually, it went quite well. So we're following our track record from the beginning of this, that we've been issuing our evacuation orders in a proactive way. So whenever there's a potential risk, we work closely with the Department of Emergency Management to really look at what are the risks and what are different time frames. The last evacuation last night, when we pulled the pin for evacuation, we felt that it was precautionary, and we would have much rather do it then than have to do it in the middle of the night with the smoke the way it was. So we'll continue to monitor that situation, and hopefully there is no more evacuations, but we'll monitor as we go through and continue with being proactive.
Now, the province announced today new financial supports for those who have been evacuated. What kind of impact do you think that will have for those residents?
Well, I think it's going to provide some temporary relief. I know that I was speaking to many of the residents that, they're looking for help now. And this recent announcement should help with some of that anxiety and stress. At least they can deal with stuff right now as it is. But we're continuing to work with the residents for long term. So hopefully we'll continue to work with the province on ways that we can both support our residents together, because we know that this is unfortunately just the beginning of their journey. It's not an easy thing to go through, and I know that from our perspective, it's something that we never thought that we would have to deal with or have to manage. But we'll continue to stay positive and support our communities as we need.
Well, what about the crews fighting the fire? How are they holding up?
I know that when I visited the command post in Bridgetown this morning, as you can imagine, there was a lot of feeling of defeat because they worked hard. I don't think people completely realize the amount of effort and work that Department of Natural Resources, the Department of Environment, Department of Emergency Management, and our local volunteers and pilots that have put into this, and we were having some great success. The fact that up until yesterday, we really had no structural losses or damages due to the efforts that they were doing. It was looking that this was going to be a good success story. So the fact that we can have one really bad day that turned it in a complete direction just shows the true power of Mother Nature, and that things can change in an instant. But we'll continue to support them and continue to support everyone as we go through.
Do you have enough resources to deal with all of this?
I would say that at this point we do. In regards to the active fire and the fire management, I don't want to speculate on that. That is a Department of Natural Resources and Department of Emergency Management are managing that. But I'm very confident in the work that they're doing and the resources that they're managing. Yesterday it didn't matter what we had. Just like what the Premier said in our press conference, that once it gets to that point, there's nothing that we can focus on other than public safety and the safety of our people fighting the fire. But from our perspective, from the municipality, I feel we're well staffed and well managed on supporting our residents, and we're continuing to bring in different partners and working with other municipalities that have gone through similar activities to ensure that we have our best foot forward to support our residents.
Well, I know you were very busy, and we really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. Best of luck with this.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Coming up, Prime Minister Mark Carney visits Poland in an effort to bolster Canada's international defense. And U.S. President Donald Trump signs new executive orders on the heels of his controversial crackdown on crime in D.C. Welcome back. Prime Minister Mark Carney is in Berlin, where he'll be discussing trade and defense ties with the German Chancellor. It's his latest stop on a European trip that's taken him to Ukraine and Poland, where he's talked about Canada's commitment to NATO. The CBC's Evan Dyer is traveling with the Prime Minister and brings us this report.
Every time I come to Warsaw, it continues to grow and develop and astound.
Poland has the fastest growing economy in the European Union. One of the reasons it's become a frequent destination for Canadian leaders looking for partners in Europe.
What we see right now is a mutual appetite that is growing. Right, so for instance, our trade relationship last year grew by something like 22% in a single year.
The other reasons are military. Poland is where Canada trains Ukrainian troops under Operation Unifier, 45,000 of them to date. The PM met with some of those Canadian trainers in Warsaw. But Canada is also interested in learning from its European allies as it seeks to grow its own forces. Poland's armed forces are almost 3 times larger than Canada's, although its population is slightly smaller. And the Polish government aims to more than double those forces in size again.
We learn much from the Prime Minister, from his government, including the importance of pulling our full weight in NATO. And it will take us a few years to reach Polish levels of commitment. It's possible. But it's possible. And we have made that commitment. We will quadruple our spending on defense between now and the end of the decade.
But Canadian officials acknowledge that the Polish mindset on defense is very different from Canada's.
Health and education come second to security and defense, something that we cannot fathom in our country. We would need to have a Canadian consensus to be able to do it in the same way.
With that military build-up in mind, the PM on Tuesday will visit a shipyard in the German city of Kiel. A German-Norwegian consortium is interested in selling up to a dozen state-of-the-art subs to the Canadian Navy, which currently has only 4 aging submarines, at least 2 of which are out of commission at any given time. Evan Dyer, CBC News, Berlin.
Gaza health officials say Israeli airstrikes have killed at least 20 people, including at least 5 journalists. Israel's leader has called the strike on a hospital a tragic mishap and says the military is investigating. The CBC's Julia Chapman reports.
This does appear to have been a so-called double-tap attack. The initial explosion occurred on the roof of the hospital, where a cameraman working for the Reuters news agency, Hussam al-Masri, was filming a live stream. He was killed in that first attack, and Reuters has published the footage that he was filming. The live stream can be seen freezing before the signal was lost entirely. And then emergency workers and journalists responded to the scene when a second strike occurred. The Associated Press news agency says its freelancer, Miriam Daga, was among those killed. She was 33 years old. TV network Al Jazeera says one of its freelancers, Mohammed Salamah, died as well, and it's not known who the other 2 journalists who were killed were working for. One member of Gaza's civil defense is also thought to be among the dead. Now, Israel's military says it carried out a strike in the area, but it didn't explain why or who it was targeting. It says it regrets any harm to what it called uninvolved individuals and said an investigation will be carried out. Israel prevents international journalists from entering Gaza, so news outlets around the world are dependent on Palestinian reporters, photographers, and camera operators. And Reuters says it is devastated to learn of al-Masri's death, as well as injuries suffered by another contractor working for it. The organization says it's urgently seeking more information and has asked for help getting medical assistance for the injured person. The Associated Press says it's shocked and saddened by Daga's death. And Al Jazeera says that the attack is a clear intent to bury the truth. Israel says it doesn't target journalists, but the Committee to Protect Journalists says at least 196 have been killed since the war began, most of them Palestinians. The head of the World Health Organization, Dr. Tedros, has also issued a statement today. He says, while people in Gaza are being starved, their already limited access to healthcare is being further crippled by repeated attacks. Stop attacks on healthcare, he says, ceasefire now. He went on to say that 4 of those killed this morning were health workers, and patients were among the people who were injured. Julia Chapman, CBC News, London.
A powerful typhoon has made landfall in Vietnam, lashing the country's coastal provinces with strong winds and rain. Almost 600,000 people across the country were ordered to leave their homes ahead of Typhoon Kajiki's arrival on Monday. It brought with it winds of up to 133 kilometers per hour. Schools and airports were also shut down. It is the fifth typhoon to hit the country this year. U.S. President Donald Trump is stepping up his takeover of policing in Washington, D.C. More than 2,000 National Guard are helping police the city, with more on the way. And Trump says he's prepared to deploy National Guard in other cities as well. The CBC's Cameron McIntosh reports from Washington.
National Guard troops now patrolling in Washington with weapons. The Trump administration ramping up its takeover of policing in the Capitol. Trump signing an executive order to add to the more than 2,000 National Guard already in the city.
I made the statement that next should be Chicago.
Trump also saying he wants to federalize policing in some cities run by Democrats, specifically naming Chicago.
As you all know, Chicago's a killing field right now, and they don't acknowledge it.
The mayor of Chicago taking issue with that, vowing to sue over any moves to federalize policing in the city.
Brave men and women who signed up to serve our country did not sign up to occupy American cities. This is costly, illegal, and unconstitutional.
But in Chicago, the idea does have some support among Trump supporters.
If you got the National Guard right there, are you going to rob somebody right there in front of the National Guard?
As for D.C., the president also signed an executive order to create a permanent unit in the National Guard to ensure security in the Capitol, as well as a ban on cashless bail, a policy in some cities that grants bail to arrestees who promise to appear at a later date without paying to be released. Trump says it just puts criminals out on the street.
All over the country, cashless bail. We're ending it, but we're starting by ending it in D.C., and that we have the right to do through federalization.
Because there's no state government in Washington, federal law does allow the president some powers to temporarily take over the city. Those powers, though, don't extend to any other U.S. city. Any attempt to impose a takeover in Chicago or anywhere else, very likely to end up in court. Cameron McIntosh, CBC News, Washington.
There's a new push to help Canadian smokers quit the habit. Tens of thousands of people are still dying each year across the country with illnesses linked to cigarettes and related nicotine products. Now, Canada's first evidence-driven set of guidelines is aiming to change that. Christine Birak has the details.
Smoking kills around 48,000 Canadians a year, more than alcohol, opioids, suicides, murders, and traffic collisions combined. Now Canada's first ever national guideline is out to help people quit. A list of proven strategies, including in-person or text-based counseling, nicotine replacement therapies, even a natural health medication.
We have some really powerful tools that are accessible.
But perhaps surprisingly, e-cigarettes or vaping are low down the list of aids.
It's definitely not a go-to first-line choice, especially when there are so many other effective approaches available.
Let me hypnotize you to quit smoking.
For many, though, it's tough to figure out what is effective. With profit-driven ads, flooding feeds, doctors warn smokers need help.
So I know this stuff works, guys. I am proof of that.
We asked a doctor about some of those claims.
So here are some of the things that people might be hearing work. Acupuncture.
Doesn't really work very well.
Hypnosis.
Doesn't really work very well.
St. John's wort.
No good evidence that it does anything.
He says if something's helped someone, great. But the reality is,
people need to know that their chances are way better if they get help, and they should be open to that, and that there are many options that work, and we can help them find one that works for them.
We help patients understand.
This addiction hospital is welcoming the guidelines, which include an old, cost-effective medication called cytosine. It mimics nicotine's effect in the brain.
And when nicotine shows up, it blocks nicotine from acting. So the experience of the person smoking will say, you know what, my cigarettes, I can't finish my cigarettes. I don't like my cigarettes. I can go longer without cigarettes. And what it does is it sort of boosts their willpower to stop.
I'll never stop thinking about quitting. It would be smart. Of course, I'm not a stupid person. I'm just an addictive person.
New help for a deadly old habit. Christine Birak, CBC News, Toronto.
50,000 Oasis fans filled Toronto's Rogers Stadium last night to witness the return of the legendary English rock band. The show kicked off the North American leg of their comeback tour. The group left the music world in 2009, and for 16 years, that departure looked permanent. But this summer, they've returned. The CBC's Michelle Song takes a look at what it all means for their fans.
They've been waiting more than 16 years for this. Oasis back on stage in Toronto, the first North American stop on their tour. It's the music that brought this Toronto couple together.
Our first date that we had almost 10 years ago, we were listening to Oasis tunes together.
On that day, they promised to see the band if they reunited. Not only did they see them in England earlier this summer, now they have tickets back home in Toronto.
We saw this in Wembley, like there was almost not a dry eye in the house. Like there's a lot of emotion in the room. Grown men are putting their arms around each other and crying during these songs. It's a big emotional experience.
This is a major comeback for the band that split in 2009. But now the Gallagher brothers have ended their feud, and it's being called their biggest tour yet.
It's wonderful to see, but it's almost beyond belief, really, how big a big deal it is going to be over where you guys are in North America.
Oasis sold out 2 nights at Toronto's Rogers Stadium, a venue that holds 50,000 people.
I'm just so excited. I've literally been waiting my whole life for it, so yeah.
And it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for this couple from the UK who chose to watch the once estranged brothers in Toronto after they couldn't get tickets back home.
You see one of the brothers performing, whether it be Noel or Liam, performing out there, and you can sense that there's just something missing. I can't actually believe we're going to see them tonight.
After saying hello to Toronto, their only Canadian stop, they're off to the US and Mexico City before heading back home to Wembley. Michelle Song, CBC News, Toronto.
Canada's main stock index fell more than 160 points today, weighed down by losses in the industrial and financial sectors, while U.S. markets also fell. Here's a look at the numbers as we head to commercial break.
This weather update is brought to you by Access Wellness Nova Scotia. Book your appointment today for free, confidential mental wellness support.
Welcome back, by the way.
Thank you.
And it was so nice of you to bring some rain with you.
Yes, nice to deliver some rain for my first day back. And thanks to Jay for filling in over the last couple of weeks. I will say that when I was gone, the inbox is still filling up quite nicely with the viewer photos, and one nice one to share with you this evening. We're going to move into Lunenburg, and a beautiful spot, of course. And you can see just a terrific shot here from Craig May. Early morning shot. Some little bit of a fog in the air, but just terrific. Thanks to Craig so much for this. Ryan's picks at cbc.ca, and thanks to everybody for reaching out with your pictures over the last couple of weeks, and keep them coming. Now, as we look at the weather radar, I mean, this is just a welcome sight with all that green, and you can see where we're looking at the yellow and even some orange and reds. Those have been the steadier showers that have been working their way along the Atlantic coastline up into the Halifax area, now pushing northeast up towards the Northumberland shore. Unfortunately, you can see the backside in the last few frames there, the backside of that rain starting already to pull away from the Tri-County area, and pretty soon that Long Lake fire as well. So not enough, as that rain will move out. We've got some lingering showers in behind for Tuesday. A couple of blips there for Tuesday, but overall it looks like a mix of sun and cloud. Temperatures, though, will be favorable into the low to mid-20s. This system tracking offshore will stay offshore, and so, another one that we could have had will miss us, and we've got more high pressure in control for Wednesday into Thursday, and then you can see some green to the top left of your screen. That's that next front that's going to be approaching. That will be carrying with it our next system. So quick look at Tuesday and Wednesday, and then as we look at the 7-day forecast, again, watching Friday night into Saturday.
Yeah, close eye on that. Yeah. All right, thanks. Well, whale researchers are hailing a new way to tag the marine mammals.
The tap-and-go drone tagging approach is a new way of being able to put basically a small computer on the back of a whale, where we use FPV goggles and we use an expert drone pilot, and the tag is just gently tapped on the back of the whale, and then the drone goes.
The tap-and-go drone was tested on sperm whales off the Eastern Caribbean. The method is considered both cost-effective and less invasive than the traditional approach. It's also much faster and safer to execute.
Once a whale is spotted, a remote pilot races the drone to deploy it with a tag with suctions on its back. The data collected helps study whale behavior and their movements.
Very neat.
Yeah.
That is it for us tonight. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Good night.